Good day. As usually, I do not write my messages down because I've been seriously abused and attacked. So I'm dealing with chronic fatigue. I'm not going to enter in the details because it won't interest much people. He worked for Henry Kissinger, and he wants to destroy me. I decided to start a program because I'm not going to hide. Because I have much to offer. Usually, I didn't have the tendency to talk about my diplomas and my background because the last thing I am is somebody who thinks she is superior, or that I was underestimating them. So I was entering in communication from a human being to a human being. That's the way I was presenting myself on YouTube. But this guy is saying so huge lies about me that I need to say where I'm coming from. That's the reason why I decided to speak about my diplomas and experience and everything else. I am a researcher first and foremost, means that I have made an essay of empirical nature, and what it is that I learned to criticize the methodology of scientific articles. For those who already know my background, I'm sorry, but this is what I need to do from this point on. I have a master in psychology. In fact, I've been trained to be a school psychologist. I already explained in French why I decided to not pursue in the being school psychologist. What is very personal to me has to be said in French because of my attacker who only speaks English. I am a Bible scholar, even though I have learned since I went to get a master's degree, and I could have continued to get a PhD, but I decided that was enough. I understood by going through the system that you don't need an external source or a system to tell you if you are knowledgeable in a specific area. And yes, I am a Bible scholar, even though I didn't get a diploma. The pastors in those Baal worship churches, I can easily debate them on the truth and not going in their church because we all know that they are the little pope there. So no point going in their churches anymore. Well, folks tend to put pastors on a pedestal the same way that Roman Catholic folks tend to put the priest on a pedestal. That's the main reason why there's no point of me going on in their churches anymore, because people tend to put them on a pedestal. I do not attend a so-called Protestant church since many years, and the last time I did was because I already knew English, but I wanted to perfect my English, and that's the only reason why I went to a church. And if ever I will go to a church again, it would be just to learn another language. I am a webmaster. I can act as an interpreter because I am a translator from English to French and from French to English. As a matter of fact, when I was working for the Canadian government, I was proofreading from English to French the work of the translators. From when they were translating from English to French, when I was working in Ottawa, I was proofreading their work to make sure it was well done in French. I also am an historian, but again, I'm not going to go get all the papers I need because I understand how this system works, and I know when I reach a point that I master an area. No, I'm not a master. I do not master this area yet, but I will tell you what is that the historians are brainwashed, most of them, because the history was rewritten by the victors. It's always the case that the history is always rewritten. And so most historians, because when you're studying history and you want to get a degree, you have to go with the rewritten history. And in my case, I don't go with that. I go with the truth that I'm finding out. Because there is a truth. It really is. There are cover-ups, but there is truth. Truth never dies. Never. Even though I'll just forget it. There was, on this continent, on this American continent, there was a human cleansing or a genocide. And they tend to cover this up. But this genocide is still going on. It's still continuing. And even though I'm not a native person, I am the living proof. I am the living proof that the genocide is still going. It's still ongoing. Because very evil people are continuing to destroy human beings. You don't have to be a native for this to happen to you. But yes, the genocide or human cleansing, anyways, no matter how you call that, even human cleansing or genocide, the fact is they were destroyed. And thank God that there are still some of them alive. A few of them, should I say, not some, but a few of them alive. Thank God for that. They did not succeed to erase them, even though they tried very hard. Yes, the human cleansing or genocide is still continuing, because when you study the reserve that they got, they did get the worst spots. They did get the worst lands to be. They give them the land that they didn't want to have. So yeah, if you check the contamination of their lands, because they really want to contaminate them. So, and again, I'm a living proof that there are evil, very evil people out there who want to destroy you. David D is also a proof that David D was bullied by the same individual who attacked me. So David D also had proofs that he wants to destroy you as well. What I was previously saying is that you don't need to go to university to learn to use your head, but in my case, because of what was done to me as a child, I had to go to this point. And it's a good thing because I can talk about the system, because I went through the system. So I know what I'm talking about. You see? I also am an unknown author because the so-called homeless man between commas, who in fact worked for Henry Kissinger and went on the Jeffrens program with his pen name, is selling books on Amazon. So I'm the one not selling books. I'm the one not being able to publish books. And then this man is still on the prowl. And it's not just women he's attacking, he's also attacking men. Preying on men and attacking them. After stealing $5,000 from me, and he is doing a character assassination of me. A cruel character assassination of me. And he's doing that behind his pen name and behind his computer and behind a photo that he have took, behind a photo of him that was taken 30 years ago when he was working for Henry Kissinger. When I was younger and I was suffering, I was covering the people who were attacking me. I'm not going to give details. I'm speaking in English, and my worst enemy speaks English. I'm not going to give details here. The entity who attacked me would want me to die or go away or commit suicide. I'm not going to commit suicide, no way. Because I'm very much aware that God loves me and that I do have love for real human beings such as I. By the way, I stopped the music because I didn't sleep much last night, and by playing the music, this is distracting me from what I'm saying, because I'm actually acting as an interpreter from my French message. So I'm very tired and I'm actually interpreting, and the music was just being more an hindrance for me than anything else. So I had to stop it. The hell with the projects that Satan has to push me to commit suicide. What he wants me to disappear, so I decided to, because I have much to offer, I decided to make a program where I will regularly appear. So if I don't appear, then you know that something happened to me. It's a way of protecting myself while telling the truth and while being there for others. This is nothing new. I'm on YouTube since a while. God knows. The Creator knows why I'm there. I'm very resourceful and I know what I'm talking about. People getting to know me, so I sure won't disappear. Unless something bad happens to me, and if something bad happens to me, then there are people out there who will know who is behind this, because we know his real identity. I have chosen the song Allegria because not just because of the beautiful music, but also the beautiful the meaning of the song, and to introduce myself officially, because now I'm being official about who I am. So I was saying that there was either ethnic cleansing or genocide on this continent that is ongoing. Like I'm saying in a lot of my videos, I put the emphasis on the fact that we only are one human race, but that doesn't mean that I am for assimilation. Not at all. I love difference, I always did, since my childhood. I want to make it very clear that I do not feel guilty of being white. The color is not the problem. The hurt was the problem. The people who were and are attacking you have no heart. It's a matter of having a heart or having no heart. It's not a matter of skin color. So I want to make it very clear that I'm not ashamed of being white. Now, this being said, I want to say that the white people, since we were not here first, we should act as guests. It's not true that all the white people are bad people. Otherwise, I would not be giving this message. I'm not living in the past, I wasn't there. I'm living in the present, I'm here. We also need to consider that there was not always problems and dissensions and violence, because again, this is not a matter of color. It's a matter of those who attack you and are still, and it is an ongoing thing. I'm going I'm going to get on that later. But those who were attacking you is not a matter of color of skin. It's a matter of they had no soul, no heart, no conscience. They were beasts. There is a difference between a human being and a beast. And you cannot know difference just by looking at the skin color. For instance, I am white, and the entity who attacked me is also white, but he is a member, well, he's a psychopath, and he is a former politician, former US politician, former US senator, and he worked for Henry Kissinger. So, just to say that they also attacking white people. I'm white. So, what the good whites needs to do, what the good white need to do today is to take position and make a difference by acting as guests. Let's say that they were unwelcome guests, uninvited, let's say uninvited guests. We were uninvited guests, and we need to act as guests. So the same ones who attack you also attack me. It's very important to understand that. So I repeat, we the whites are uninvited guests on this land, and I was giving the example that when you get to know a person that you're not friends yet, when you get to know a person, are you going to their home as if it is your home? Are you going in their bed as it is your bed, etc., 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 etc.? No. So as a white person, you at least need to show them respect. This is the very basis. And if you have a heart and you're white, then you need to demonstrate it. Showing to the native people respect is the very basis. Is very basic. You at least as a white person need to do that. I am very much aware that the government is the one that mainly attacked them, and of course some greedy whites in the past did join them, but mainly that was the government, and that was also the government that created the boarding schools. So I'm very much aware of that, but what I'm saying is that in the past the white people were not involved much to make a difference. There are many things I could say, but this is where I'm going to start. Speaking to the white people, stop doing as if the native and aboriginal people don't exist. Stop acting as if they were white. they are white, even though some of them have white skin because of the race mixing. And I want to make it very clear again that we are only one human race. One human race, but they are, and again, I'm not for assimilation, I am for respect of differences. Obviously, for those who have listened to me so far. And those who are mixed and métis, or of mixed color, stop acting as if. Just accept the difference, accept that they do exist. I don't know if you realize that, but America is not going well. It's going down. The way to turn things around is to accept the differences. They were assimilated mainly by using the government program called the boarding school, and it's not true that there are just whites here, and that even though the elite are pushing, you need to be part of the elite to go on television, unless to be a regular guest you need to be part of the elite. And the elite are pushing agendas, and one of the agenda is to act as if there are no native people. It's part of their agenda. Forget that Christophe Colomb is the one who discovered America. It's not true. We are brainwashed, and Christophe Colomb, by the way, was a Knight Templar, and those who invaded this continent, Christophe Colomb, Jacques Cartier, and others, they were part of secret societies. Very important to mention. Like the one who attacked me is part of the secret societies. Oh, and by the way, forgot to mention that he is actually supporting the Westboro Baptist Church behind his computer and behind his pen name and behind the picture he took of him 30 years ago when he was working for Henry Kissinger. Thought to mention that. Oh yeah, so forget Christophe Colomb, forget the Columbus Day, because like I already explained, he was a Knight Templar. You know the Red Cross, there is the Red Cross depicted on their boats. This was the cross of the Knight Templars. Before Christopher Columbus, there were also the Vikings. They never talked about this, but I researched that. But it does not matter, because Vikings were not there first. The Vikings were before Christopher Columbus. I don't care. I really don't. The native Aboriginal people were here first. They were the ones who discovered this continent. Even though they were not stealing lands. Because they understand that they are not the ones who created the land. They were bright enough to understand that. So they were not stealing lambs. They are the ones who discovered this continent first, baby. People are listening too much to television. Television is a mind control program. That's right. It puts you in a hypnotic state. That's true. As those hypnotists do. That's true. There are some religious people out there that, they would never go to see an hypnotist, but they are regularly sitting in front of their television set. It puts you in a state, hypnotic state, and the suggestions you can, your rational mind and your analytic mind is put on the side, is made void because you are put in a suggestive state, and you accept what what they tell you on television. You automatically accept this as the truth. Because the government doesn't lie to us, right? 911 was an inside job. Television is a propaganda tool that they use to control your mind. So you're watching too much television to see the truth and what is going on. That's right. I am very much aware that there are very, 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 very few people who are sometimes watching television with a critical mind, but they are not those who are addicted. They are not those who are addicted to television. Those who are watching television with analytic and critical mind, they are not those who are addicted to it. They are not those who cannot live without a television set. You cannot live without a TV. So majority of people are being brainwashed by television. It's a very good mind control tool. Very, very effective. Television is, all the time that people spend watching television, they don't spending time, quality time with their children, their relatives, their husbands and wives, family. And those who control what's going on television are the same who want us to forget what happened to the native and aboriginal people. The native aboriginal people survived the ethnic cleansing or genocide. They survived. They are still here. And I was saying that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. So it's not a white person who discovered America. They were not whites. They were the native aboriginal people. They are the ones who discovered America. Wake up. I will tell you something else. The Jesus Christ that is depicted on those images, this white Jesus depicted on those images with blue eyes or green eyes, this is not the real Jesus. Absolutely not. He was from the Mediterranean Sea. And the people in this area look like the Palestinians today. So I thought to mention that because it's part of the brainwashing, mind control, to make people believe, and also use this image of white Jesus as a propaganda tool. Forget that. Christopher Columbus did not discover America, and Jesus wasn't white. Alright? Forget that. If you want to live with reality, of course. If you don't want to live in dreamland. Again, we are uninvited guests. And this is really crazy. United Nations, listen to me very carefully. United Nations said that the Aboriginal Native people should get their lands back. Is this happening? Well, of course, United Nations is another tool, is another problem, because if it would be doing good for humanity, if United Nations would be doing good for humanity, they already said that the native Aboriginal people should have their lands back. If United Nations would be a good tool, then the native Aboriginal people would have their lands back. See? But I thought to mention it that indeed they said that native Aboriginal people should have their lands back. It's a decision already made, but not in effect, because it's just blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, like they are usually dealing with. Just like President Obama was supposed to give a stimulus money, for the poorest reservation in United States, which is Pine Ridge. I studied Pine Ridge problem, and they are usually dying around 50 years old. That's their life expectancy is about 50 years old, and there are too much teenager suicides there. And it was said on television, yes, television, yes, it was told on television that they were to get stimulus money. They're still waiting, and they are still dying. It's just blah blah blah. So we need to not wait on the government to do something for the native Aboriginal people, nor the United Nations. So we cannot count on the government nor United Nations to do justice to them. It doesn't work. As usually, it doesn't work. And to do them justice is first and foremost recognize that they do exist, that there is a remnant of the native Aboriginal people on this continent. There is a remnant who survived. That's the first thing to do. And at the very least, show them respect. Respect them at the very least. Accept the differences and act as a guest. That makes all the difference of the world. That's how we have to do as white people for justice to be done. From one human being to another human being, some human beings have more heart than others. So the white people, at least respect them. And if you do have a heart, since you're a guest, be nice to them. Follow what your heart tells you to do. If you have a nice heart, be nice to them. Act as a guest. You are a guest here. They are not asking you to go back to Europe. So be nice. Demonstrate that you love them. Of course, this message is not for those who don't have a heart, like the psychopath who attacked me. Thanks for listening. I will make sure to repeat this again because I do have an enemy who is saying very huge lies about me, so I will repeat the solution a few times so that there is no misunderstanding about the solution that I am bringing on the table. And if you didn't like the message, then just unsubscribe. I don't need you. I really don't. Just go back to your television set, and because I have other things to do with my life than to not tell the truth. Truth must be said because truth never dies. Human beings are sometimes murdered, but truth never dies. To do them justice is first and foremost recognize that they do exist, that there is a remnant of the native aboriginal people on this continent. There is a remnant who survived. That's the first thing to do. And at the very least, show them respect. Respect them at the very least. Accept the differences and act as a guest. That makes all the difference of the world. That's how we have to do as white people for justice to be done. From one human being to another human being, some human beings have more heart than others. So the white people, at least respect them. And if you do have a heart, since you're a guest, be nice to them. Follow what your heart tells you to do. If you have a nice heart, be nice to them. Act as a guest. You are a guest here. They are not asking you to go back to Europe. So be nice. Demonstrate that you love them. I decided to not pursue in the being school psychologist. What is very personal to me has to be said in French because of my attacker who only speaks English. I am a Bible scholar, even though I have learned since I went to get a master degree, and I could have continued to get a PhD, but I decided that was enough. I understood by going through the system that you don't need an external source or a system to tell you if you are knowledgeable in a specific area. And yes, I am a Bible scholar, even though I didn't get a diploma. The pastors in those Baal worship churches, I can easily debate them on the truth and not going in their church, because we all know that they are the little pope there. So no point going in their churches anymore. Well, folks tend to put pastors on a pedestal the same way that Roman Catholic folks tend to put the priest on a pedestal. That's the main reason why there's no point of me going on in their churches anymore, because people tend to put them on a pedestal. I do not attend a so-called Protestant church since many years, and the last time I did was to good day. As usually, I do not write my messages down because I've been seriously abused and attacked. So I'm dealing with chronic fatigue. I'm not going to enter in the details because it won't interest much people. He worked for Henry Kissinger, and he wants to destroy me. I decided to start a program because I'm not going to hide. Because I have much to offer. Usually, I didn't have the tendency to talk about my diplomas and my background, because the last thing I am is somebody who thinks she is superior, or that I was underestimating them. So I was entering in communication from a human being to a human being. That's the way I was presenting myself on YouTube. But this guy is saying so huge lies about me that I need to say where I'm coming from. That's the reason why I decided to speak about my diplomas and experience and everything else. I am a researcher first and foremost, means that I have made an essay of empirical nature, and what it is that I learned to criticize the methodology of scientific articles. For those who already know my background, I'm sorry, but this is what I need to do from this point on. I have a master in psychology. In fact, I've been trained to be a school psychologist. I already explained in French what, because I already knew English, but I wanted to perfect my English, and that's the only reason why I went to a church. And if ever I will go to a church again, it would be just to learn another language. I am a webmaster. I can act as an interpreter because I am a translator from English to French and from French to English. As a matter of fact, when I was working for the Canadian government, I was proofreading from English to French the work of the translators. From when they were translating from English to French, when I was working in Ottawa, I was proofreading